One-step equations with addition and subtraction. This is an introduction to algebraic equations. So the lesson starts out with explaining what variables are and how they work. It's a letter or symbol used in place of a number that we don't know. And so we're going to try to determine what that symbol or letter equals. So to solve for the variable in an equation, we need to rearrange the terms of the equation so that the variable is alone on one side of the equal sign. And we do this by the 4 different operations. Also, an equation is just like a balance scale, so what you do to one side must also be done to the other to keep it balanced. And if you add 3 to one side of the equal sign, you must also add 3 to the other side of the equal sign. So the key is to isolate the variable. Now once you've gone through all of these slides with the students, they're going to drag and drop these 4 terms into the correct place in the sentence frames. So the unknown value in an algebraic equation is called A. They just click and hold on the edge of a variable and they're going to move it into place. To find out what it equals, you need to isolate the variable or get the variable alone, and so on. And then you're just going to place the other 2 terms also. And then to isolate this in this equation, you want to isolate the x on the left-hand side. You need to eliminate that 5. And you're going to do that by taking the opposite operation. So the opposite of adding 5 is to subtract 5. And if you do that to one side of the equation, you do that to the other. And one thing I have my students do is just draw a line through the equal sign, and that way you can see what the 2 sides are. When we do this, when we subtract 5 here, we're going to get 0. So the x is now alone. It's isolated. And here, if we subtract 5, we get 3. So we know that x equals 3. And then if you want to check and see if your answer is correct, and this is a pretty simple equation, they get more difficult as you go, so it's really important that you learn to do this. So we're going to take our 3, our solution, and we're going to place it in place of x in the original equation and see if it works. So here you can see it works, so we know our answer is correct. Slide 9, students are just going to drag and drop the opposite operation for each of these equations. So the opposite of adding 8 would be to subtract 8. So again, they click and hold on the edge. The opposite of adding 4 would be to subtract 4, and that's what they're going to do to both sides of the equation, and so on. Now here's an example of how we're going to solve these equations. Here we take the opposite operation. We end up with x, because these 2 cancel each other out. They add up to 0. X equals 9. So students are just going to fill in the text boxes and just type in each part of this equation. And they've got more to solve, some subtraction, some addition. And then here they're going to solve, and then they're going to prove that their answer is correct by placing their answer in place of x in the original equation. And then the final slide, they're going to use the line tool to just connect the equation with its solution. So they're going to come up here to line, select a line, click on line, and they're going to get a little plus sign. So wherever they want that line to start, they'll just click there. And you get a little line here with 2 blue circles on each side. So if you want to move the line, just click on one of the circles, click and hold, and then you can move it into place. You're going to connect these 2. Now students can play around with this. They can change the color of the line, and they can change the thickness of the line. And so they can do that and make that their own. So this is a digital lesson, one-step equations with addition and subtraction.